Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Hello and welcome to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Craig Sager. Today we've got a great Monday show for you. We will conclude with our BSN weekend recap as we usually do. We have a lot of GHSA playoffs to get into, including baseball, soccer, and lacrosse. We also have the gymnastics state championships this weekend, so that will be in the fifth segment. We're going to start the show, of course, with our fast break headlines. We will also have a draft segment in segment 2 with Max and Hayden, and then we will get into the esports scene with Zabby Hean, head coach of Innovation Academy, and then West Forsyth head coach Carl Lyles. But we got Najee here now. Najee, what was your overall takeaway of the NFL draft, just seeing how it went for the 3 days, the usual excitement that the players have to be entering the NFL, but just kind of what some of the trends were?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought some teams went and got, impact players that could potentially help their franchise moving forward. I really liked what Chicago did getting Luther Burden in that second round to continue to add to their receiving corps. You've seen Arizona. I thought they really nailed it getting Will Johnson, also Walter Nolan. So to kind of solidify that defense, kind of a rite of passage with obviously Patrick Peterson officially retiring. He can kind of mentor him and, kind of come in. Both are not the biggest defensive backs, but both can make their mark on a game. That stood out to me, obviously, what the Browns did. We'll talk about more about that later in segment 2, but It's kind of befuddling a little bit what they were doing. But nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty cool draft. The Eagles, once again, getting Georgia players, them getting Smile Munden. Him and Jahai Campbell, but Andrew Makuba. The Eagles nailed this draft yet again.
It's pretty crazy. It's also crazy how many players from that 21 Georgia national championship team are now in the NFL. It's pretty incredible. I want to ask you about this because we're going to talk about the draft in segment 2, but in terms of a strategy, when you see teams like the Falcons where they're really aggressive in the first round, it seems like they got not only two players they wanted, but they checked off 2 boxes. What do you think about teams that have the mindset to be aggressive in round 1 and 2 and then kind of look for the best available later on, or just have less pressure on day 3 where they can have a wider approach once they get the guys early?
I'll give you a great example. I'm glad you brought that up, Craig. Think about the Houston Texans a few years ago when they went and got C.J. Stroud, right? That same draft, a couple of picks later, they got Will Johnson, who was obviously of Dutchtown and played at Alabama. So, you see those kind of moves, and, it really helps you moving forward because you solidify, one, your cornerstone defensive player who you want to build around, and then you got your franchise quarterback now. So then it's, okay, hey, let's fill in the gaps. How can we fill out linebacker? How can we fill out defensive back? So I think it makes them better. And then, like you said, you can make different moves. Like you can make moves like getting a Will Howard that you see Pittsburgh did later on because they felt pretty good about quarterback, right? Or you can go get guys that can plug and play later on in that job. And you're not as worried. You're more so filling out your roster and seeing what happens.
Yeah, well, I got one more question for you. So with the Falcons, they are aggressive in the first round. They get 2 defensive guys. Now they can kind of look at how the other rounds are going, really look at the full draft board. But then next year they might not have a first-round pick, so the strategy will be different. Do you think the NFL draft is like a 2-year window, 3-year into building a roster? Can you do it all in 1 year?
I'd say it's tough, Craig, to do all in 1 year. I definitely would say most teams probably go that 2-3 year strategy. But sometimes, as you see teams turn it around, that 1 year can be really that difference. Like for Houston that year, remember, nobody expected them to go to the playoffs that year. But they got C.J. Stroud. They obviously got Will Anderson. And then it made a difference, and they got back to the playoffs, right? So sometimes it can be that 1 year and those franchise cornerstone pieces that can get you there. But I think most teams look at it, especially in a rebuild, 2-3 years potentially in order to fill out the roster.
Yeah, and I guess the last time the Falcons did that was probably Matt Ryan's first year. That went from a team that wasn't in the playoffs, made the playoffs, first rookie quarterback to do that in a while. So you can do it in 1 year, but I feel like it'll be interesting. The Falcons not really having that first-round pick potentially next year, having to have a different strategy and get some gems in the later round. But let's start things off, Najee, with the former Georgia high school players that went in this year's NFL draft.
Yes, sir. So headline 1, 23 former Georgia high school players go in the NFL draft. Georgia finished second among states of counting homegrown players. 3 of Florida's 26 players came from elsewhere to finish their careers at IMG Academy. One of those former players was Savannah Christian and Georgia defensive lineman Warren Brinton, the Panthers' 6th-round pick. Georgia players selected in the first round includes Collins Hill's Travis Hunter, Hardaway's Michael Williams, Jefferson's Malachi Starks, all former AJC Super 11 players. The 3 first-round picks are the most for Georgia since 4 were taken in 2022. Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner for Colorado, was Georgia's highest selected at number 2 overall. Other players, you had Hillgrove's Jalen Royals, Cedar Town's Zah Frazier, Parkview's Julian Ashby, North Hall's Dan Jackson, all hardly recruited out of high school, but continued to make their mark in their name. Other names also include Grayson's Phil Maffa, Great Atlanta Christian's Miles Hinton, North Gwinnett's teammates Carter and Jordan Hancock as well, and Hunter Ashby. And a couple guys signed as well in terms of just undrafted free agents. You obviously had Shiloh's Jasheen Davis. He got selected and went obviously to the New Orleans Saints. So that's a name as well. But honestly, Craig, just a great job just putting all this together, obviously by Todd Holcomb, and just seeing all these players and how rich Georgia is in terms of producing talent.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at 256 picks, 23 of them from Georgia. I mean, that's almost 1 in 10, and that seems to be the average. I think this year it was nice to see the 7th round. Some of the guys that we thought like maybe they're going to get drafted, but it'll be tough. Guys like Phil Maffa. I mean, how exciting is that? Dan Jackson also, just to see a lot of these guys waiting the entire time, but being able to just get in there in the 7th round.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, for them, they can go in and work. They don't have to worry about, they'll still have to get a roster spot, but then you go and look at people that can make their name, and they're in really good situations. The Cowboys need a running back bad, and then you get a guy you don't have to pay a lot to that's hungry, that wants to get it, and Phil Maffa. And then you look at the Panthers, you get a hard hit and safety, and Dan Jackson has so much upside at that next level. And for them, it's exciting because they got drafted, all that hard work, hardly recruited, and then look what they made it into.
Yeah, very exciting. All right, I'll get into headline 2 real quick and get into some high school action. The Walker girls outlasted not only the weather, but Mount Perrin to advance the next round. Walker sat through an extended lightning delay to beat Mount Perrin 2-1 in the opening round of the Class A through 3A private soccer state playoffs on Thursday. Walker, now 11-4, scored twice in the opening 8 minutes of the game. The first goal came from Julia White in the opening moments, the second from Claire Green. After staying home for the All-Cobb County opener, the 15-seeded Wolverines will now take a long trip to the second round to face Savannah Country Day this Thursday. Walker dominated possession for majority of the first period, tallying 4 shots on goal between the 27 and 13-minute marks of the first half, while holding Mount Perrin to 0 shots on goal. The Eagles ramped up the pressure in the final 8 minutes of the half. Martina Hill got the first quality look for Mount Perrin down the stretch, putting a shot on goal, but the arms of Walker keeper Kendall Brock prevented it. With 2:20 left in the first half, Mount Perrin drew a free kick within 30 yards of the goal. A solid cross in the middle was deflected out of traffic, but Walker was not out of trouble yet. A few seconds later, Brock made a dramatic save off a shot from Hill before Alexis Schaefer hit the crossbar. With 15:10 to play, Brock stopped a breakaway by charging the ball and beating the Mount Perrin tack. So great goalkeeping, and also being able to handle a 90-minute delay with that lead. A pretty interesting result for Walker, just having to deal with some adversity in that playoff match, and now, of course, we'll be going to Savannah. All right, headline 3, Whitfield Academy sweeps Paideia. This is in baseball. Peyton Robideau and Samuel Marshall each pitched complete game shutouts to lead Whitfield Academy to a doubleheader sweep over Paideia in the first round of the A3A private state playoffs. Robideau allowed 2 hits, struck out 6, including the side in the 7th inning to clinch the win. That was a 3-0 victory. Marshall allowed 5 hits and struck out 9 batters in a 1-0 Game 2 victory. This is the 4th straight season the Wolfpack have won at least one playoff series, and they will face Calvary Day in the second round on May 1st. All right, one more headline. North Cobb Christian sweeps Athens Academy. North Cobb Christian's baseball team held Athens Academy to just 7 hits in the 2-game sweep on Friday in the opening round of the A3A private state playoffs. The Eagles needed only 5 innings in an 11-0 Game 1 victory, thanks to a 9-run second inning and a multi-hit, multi-RBI day from Carson Bruce and Spears Martin. Coach Jimmy Keene said they came out great offensively, hit the ball very well. Bruce, Austin Tambora, and J.D. Hyde homered in the opening game, and starting pitcher Truett Stafford pitched all 5 innings, surrendering just 2 hits. Game 2 was a closer contest with Athens Academy jumping out to a 2-0 lead in the first inning, but then North Cobb Christian rallied to get the sweep.
All right, Craig. So the final headline, I know you did a great story on ScoreTL.com, Craig, just with the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame ballot. What more can you just say? I know you were a big part of this, helping write the story, put all this together, a lot of time and hours you put in, Craig. Can you just talk a little bit about this?
Absolutely. So this was, you can go to ScoreATL.com. This will be the new ballot. There's 100 total names each year before the voting takes place. And so last year we had 30 guys get into the Hall of Fame, and then we added 30 new names. So these are guys that this will be the first every year they're on the ballot. Some of those first-timers, Kirby Smart from Bainbridge, he's going to be on there. He was voted the best player in his classification during the 1993 season. You also had Georgia Tech star quarterback Joshua Nesbitt, Keith Brooking from East Coweta, and then Cam Newton is on for the first time because he is now eligible, officially announcing that his football career is done and also being 8 years removed. So I really like those guys' chances. Also, Walt Frazier, the basketball legend, he is on for his quarterback time back in high school. You can see the full list on ScoreATL.com. We got some returning nominees. These were the 70 that have been on the ballot before. See some names there: Cozy Coleman, Southwest DeKalb, Patrick Pass, the super athlete from Tucker, 1995 graduate. You see towards the bottom of that list, Mitch Hyatt, Isaiah Crowell, Avery Jones, Jonathan Davis. These are guys that have been on the ballot the last 2 or 3 years. And then that voting will take place in the next couple months. And then, of course, the ceremony will be in October. This is the 4th year of the Hall of Fame. Najee, what do you think of, let's just say, Cam Newton, a guy that's finally eligible to be on this list, obviously a huge name, but just what his career in general looks like? A Heisman Trophy winner, an MVP, a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, he had a phenomenal career. I mean, his impact is monumental. Craig, you go back and even you go to these 7-on-7 tournaments and you see all the kids that kind of be around him. And, obviously I know he's doing his podcast, 4th and 1 with Cam Newton. He's just having a profound impact. I mean, his story is phenomenal because he went to Westlake, then he went off to Florida. It did not work out there. He ended up having to transfer, make a name for himself, going to a community college, and then obviously went to Auburn, and that's where he made his name. So he's just a testament of just hard work, man, persevering through, and never count yourself out. So I definitely think he deserves to be in.
Yep, super fun to watch, and I'm excited for him. I think he'll definitely be a guy that gets in this year, well-deserved. But you can go to ScoreTail.com, check out that full list, 100 new names, 30 will get in. But that's it for this segment. We got more coming up on the other side. We'll get into some draft coverage with Najee, Max, and Hayden.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I got Max Wilborski, Hayden Gilbert, Najee Wilkins on the call right now. We're going to recap a little bit of the NFL draft. Hayden, I want to start with you. You had some predictions for how it might go. It was a pretty exciting 3 days. What was your overall thought?
I mean, I thought most teams did really well for themselves. When you look at the draft, it's what you see is a lot of these pundits, a lot of these guys that are draft analysts don't. It's more complicated than just this is the best player available. Depending on how the draft board falls, some of these guys are going to fall further than they normally would because of when guys are selected. Because you see these runs on players. But I think for the most part, teams did really well in selecting the best player available.
Before I throw it to Max, I mean, what was your thought? This is an interesting draft for quarterbacks. Like last few years, we've seen them really dominate the first 2 rounds. Was it just the type of quarterbacks, maybe the need wasn't there? What do you think like the next few years will be in terms of the quarterback crop?
I think what we've seen, this is a multi-pronged thing. Last year, 6 quarterbacks came off the board in the first round. So there wasn't a lot of QB needy teams this year. Additionally, I think we've seen a shift away in the NFL from high floor quarterbacks to where teams are much more willing to take a shot on a guy that's most likely not going to work out than take a guy that might work out but's never going to be one of those elite starters.
Absolutely. And then let's go to Max. Max, you went on the show last week. One of your predictions, you were talking about Jackson Dart. You felt like he might be the number one quarterback taken. And you were right about the Shedeur Sanders thing, but he obviously went all the way to 144 overall. There's a huge topic. What was your thought about just that situation, knowing that he might not be the first taken, but then to see how late he fell?
Well, so my prediction last week, I thought Jackson Dart, I thought he was a good fit in New York with the Giants. And although he didn't go 3rd overall, like I may have predicted as my bold prediction, but he did end up going in the mid-20s in the first round. Just a good fit for him in New York under Coach Daboll. But with Shedeur, I mean, they got a quarterback as well in Dylan Gabriel, and they got him, I believe it was in the round before. But, I think it'll be a good fit for him, and it's a crowded quarterback room there in Cleveland.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into our biggest surprises. We'll start with Najee. Najee, you had 3 surprises that you sent in, starting with New Orleans. You had the Philadelphia Eagles also, and then the Cleveland Browns, some of the moves they made. Walk us through just your surprises, Najee.
Yeah, so New Orleans with Tyler Show, he only played 2 full collegiate seasons. This past year did pretty well, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but it's kind of mind-boggling because he's played for like 3-4 different schools, right? He ended up starting off at Oregon, ended up transferring out, and then eventually lands with obviously Louisville, but hard for him to stay healthy on the field. To me, that seemed like a reach in the second round if I'm New Orleans with Tyler Show. I feel like you could have got way more value there with that pick potentially. It's kind of an interesting QB room with him, Spencer Rattler, and Derek Carr obviously nursing that shoulder injury. So that one for me was a little befuddling. And you can hear it from Saints fans. They were pretty upset about the pick, when they came through and went down with it. So then that tells you all you need to know. That's not really a QB of your future franchise, in my humble opinion, respectfully. And then the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, gosh, they cooked in this draft. When you look at Smile Mondon, when you look at Jahad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Swiss Army knife, could do pretty much everything on the football field. And then you add Smile Mondon, you add what they added on the offensive line. I mean, you gotta tip your cap to Howie Roseman. He's one of the best, general managers in the NFL, and he continues to nail it. And they got some guys for the future, and they're gonna be potent once again. So that was a big surprise. Just them continue to land these top end picks, and all the talent. And then last but not least, the Browns. I know they got an A+ by Mel Kiper. But, their drive didn't really make any sense. You got 2 running backs with Quishon Judkins obviously in there, and then you go select Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, and then you go back and select Shedeur. You have 5 quarterbacks now on your roster. with the Kenny Pickett, Shador, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, Shador was there at the third round. Go ahead and take him there. You know what I'm saying? So the Browns, to me, it just didn't make a lot of sense. And my last thought, before I throw it back to y'all, just on the Shador thing, I just want to point this out. It does suck that he obviously fell in the NFL draft. I hope it motivates him. I hope it molds him even more so. And I hope he uses this as a tool for him going into the future, because he's not a 5th-round draft pick. He was a projected top 5 pick. You know what I'm saying? At worst, you could say 2nd round. There's no way he should have been a 5th-round draft pick, if we're being completely honest. Respectfully, I think, the NFL was trying to set an example and trying to humble him a little bit from what we've seen. But that had nothing to do with stats or football. When you look at the quarterbacks drafted before him, you look at, obviously, Jalen Milroe, who's really good. That fit in Seattle is going to be something special. When you look at Dylan Gabriel, and when you look at, obviously, some of these quarterbacks that were taken before him, they're not better than him. There's only one definitive quarterback that you say is, as Cam Ward. You can also throw in an argument, maybe Jackson Dart, but there's no way Shador should have slid that far, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little more. But yeah, there's obviously some teams that already have a crowded quarterback room. That makes sense why they would pass on them. But for teams that need a quarterback, where there's not a lot in this draft, seeing him fall that late was pretty surprising. I mean, it was nuts. I did not see that coming at all. So maybe he'd go in the 2nd round, but yeah, that was wild. Let's hear from Max real quick. Your 3 surprises. One of those was you were surprised how far Jalen Walker fell for the Atlanta Falcons to be able to pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that was getting mocked in the top 10, and it looked like he would fall to the Panthers at 8. It looked like the pick was just sitting there for him, but Falcons were able to get him at 15 and then able to trade back into the 1st round and get James Pierce in the mid-20s as well. I thought the Falcons did a good draft. I thought they addressed some needs that they needed on the defensive side of the ball and some pass rushers for them to get to the quarterback as well.
And then the New York Giants, obviously a big topic of this year's draft, trading back in the 1st round for a quarterback. We talk about the Eagles once again, but what's your just thought about the New York Giants and where you see them maybe this season or moving forward?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure if Dart will get the chance to play this season. I could see they also have a crowded quarterback room with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston as well. But just another young talent that enters his way into New York. Maybe New York has learned in the past from their Daniel Jones mistakes, but having a veteran quarterback there to help Dart through this 1st year could be something big for them.
Yep, and I'll get into my surprise real quick. The Falcons landing 2 defensive 1st-rounders. I thought that was interesting because the Falcons, they haven't made the playoffs in like 7 years, but typically I feel like they'd have a top 10 pick, and you can really get just a high value prospect in that. But in this case, they got a mid 1st-rounder and then a late 1st-rounder. I thought that was a good way to be aggressive. My other surprise, obviously, was Shador Sanders falling all the way to 144. So I'll ask Hayden about the Shador. We haven't heard from you in that one. Were you surprised just how it went out? How do you think he handled the situation?
I don't know how he handled the situation. I was surprised he fell as far as he did. I thought he was a 2nd round. I had a 2nd round grade on Shador. When you looked at him, he's not a guy that I think's going to have this super high ceiling that's going to be able to lead you to Super Bowls. But I thought he was going to be able to be a multi-year starter for a team. Definitely a guy that I think can be a starter in the league. I think he started to fall, and then teams got cold feet over why he was falling because he only did those 5 interviews, and if those teams weren't taking him, I think there was a bit of a fear of why they weren't taking him. And I think as he started falling further and further, it became this huge media story, and if you have a quarterback that you think can start this season, I'm not sure teams wanted to take that risk of bringing that into the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like it where you're just pick after pick, you're waiting to see, okay, is this going to be it? And then next thing you know, you're waiting 3 days. Pretty incredible. Max, you wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, no, I agree with Najee. I hope he uses this as motivation because I know he knows that he's not a 5th-round quarterback. Not that there's anything wrong with that. He still got selected in the NFL draft, but he knows he's better than that, and he knows that he's at least a 2nd-rounder. So I hope he uses this as motivation throughout his career and throughout as he goes forward.
Yep, and then Najee, let's just throw it back to the Falcons, just how you thought that they handled this draft and the fact that, I mean, they definitely drafted some of the guys that you said were high-value picks, and they were able to go out and get them.
The Falcons cooked, man. That's all I can say. The Falcons cooked. I mean, you talk about getting your defense right. Arthur Blank, Terry Fontenot, they did a hell of a job. I mean, you just look at, Jalon Walker. I was hoping, like, my Bengals, can we trade up? Can we go get him? You look at, obviously, Xavier Watts. You look at James Pierce Jr. They really filled out this roster, man, and they got a potential chance not just to make the postseason. They can make some noise. They could be that team you see make that flight similar to kind of what Washington did last year with Jaden Daniels. Michael Penix another year, all those offensive weapons, and then now you got a whole bunch of guys defensively that's really good. Look out.
Yep, unfortunately, we're running out of time. We're going to have to end this segment. We'll be back on the other side. Maybe we'll talk about some more NFL draft later this week, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we're going to get into esports. We have the Innovation Academy esports team with us right now, holding the trophies. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. How's it going?
Hello. Hi, we're doing good. What about you?
Doing fantastic. So I'm excited to learn about your team. Let's start just left to right. Just introduce yourself and give your class year and how long you've been with the team.
Hi, my name is Jaden Hall. I am the current captain of our team. I'm also a junior here at IA.
My name is Mattis Gatotis, and I'm a senior at IA, and I've been playing Splatoon esports for about 3 years. But yeah.
My name is Evelyn Steele. I'm a junior here at IA, and I've been playing esports and Splatoon at the same time.
And I'm David Hightower. I don't know if I'm in the picture right now, but I'm also a senior, and I've been with the team as long as Mattis has, now for 3 years.
Okay, and let's start. Was it Zayden, the team captain? Did I get that name right?
Zayden.
Okay, gotcha. Just talk about this year's team, just what it took for you guys to come together, just handle the playoffs, and just win this state title as a team?
So, ever since the beginning of the school year, we've been practicing twice a week. So we meet at the on Mondays in person, and then on Tuesdays virtually, where we'll try to play the game either with a different school or with people we find online, just to try to get that practice in. And that's on top of just individual practice that really helps us come together as a team, and we strategize and try to make the best result.
And then where did your passion come for video games? And I mean, how hard was this one to pick up and be able to win against such a talented field?
Well, I played video games ever since I was young. My brother, me and my brothers used to always play games together, and that kind of devolved into me getting my own money. And then I started playing Splatoon, and that became a really big thing to me. And I found a bunch of people online and now in person who I was able to connect with and learn how to compete through video games.
And then in the middle, was your name Madden?
Mattis.
Gotcha. That is a pretty impressive trophy right there. Just talk to us about what that one is, that beautiful gold one.
Yeah, so this is our national trophy. Last summer, we competed against high school teams all around the country. There was a lot of really good teams. We had really close matches in semis and in the finals. We went 3-2 against both teams. Really close matches, really good games. But yeah, we were able to come out on top.
All right, so you got the trophy on the left right there. We got the national one, and then on the right, I know you guys won a state title a few years ago. Which one is the brand new trophy? That one right there. All right. So what was it like just in this atmosphere, the facilities, just handling this, and when did you guys kind of know that you guys have a chance to win it this year?
Well, we played the match to determine if we were actually going in person to compete for the title about a week before we actually traveled to go in person. So that match was really intense. And then after we did get to that, we traveled to it. And just it's one thing to be able to play a game with 4 people in person and you not being able to see your opponent, but being able to like look to my right and then just see that my opponents are right there. And that energy and have people cheering for you. It's a whole different experience. A little stressful, but also really fun. And being able to just make that human connection is really great.
And you guys were playing the game Splatoon. Do you guys have different roles when you're playing together? How do you guys maybe communicate, and how are you guys able to kind of master the team aspect of it?
You got that?
Yeah, so there's different roles in the game. The main ones that we focus on are support roles, which enable the next role, which is the Slayer, people call it, which the Slayer will be the main people that are trying to go on the front, create opportunities for the team to push up, complete the objective, which depends on what the objective is. There's 5 different ones. And yeah, the support is usually the one painting, creating, space and using specials to open windows for those Slayers to get in. And then, yeah, we kind of just, everyone mixes together. We find the right timings. Everyone does their job correctly. And that's just how we get in and win. Yeah.
And pardon me, we're going to go to who we had on the other Zoom call. I don't know if it was David. I missed the name. Do we have him available?
Yes, it was David.
Okay, can we get David on real quick? Okay, David, I wanted to just ask you, I mean, how fun was it just this year competing, and what do you think esports has done just to give opportunities for people that have this passion to play video games?
Well, I mean, first of all, yeah, esports is absolutely a blast. I mean, both this year and last year, like Jane said, competing in person is so fun, but also competing online is super fun. Having a community of people who are interested in the game the same way you are is really fun. Honestly, win or lose, it's really a good time. Esports for me has been just a way for me to turn something like a casual interest of mine and just something that's like something that I can really be proud of. It's not just like something that I do to waste time at home, procrastinate on homework type thing. It's something that I do to compete, something that I do for both like my school, for myself, and for my friends on the team. I don't know if I will turn esports into something like a professional career, but starting in high school and doing it through college definitely opens up that opportunity. I do think professional esports is on the rise, and we'll probably see more of it in the future. So organizations like Play Versus definitely open up opportunities for people like myself to pursue that if they so choose. And I think they're doing a really good job of creating communities in their area, having people meet. I mean, for all I know, I could wind up down that avenue and could end up playing with people like on my team or like other teams we've played with. So yeah, I really think it's again, even if you don't choose to pursue that career, you have a strong community of people like-minded with the same interests, and it's been a great time overall. And I honestly, even if I don't do it in college, it's been a wonderful part of my life.
And then go back to the group real quick. Just talk about this game, Splatoon, and just how you guys feel like you would match up maybe nationally with some of the other states or teams that are participating in this. I mean, how talented are you guys at this game?
So this year we actually went against in our state competition. We all went against Brookwood High School, and also in our national competition last year we also went against Brookwood. And in the state before that, we also went against them. So we've kind of had that rivalry between us for a while now. So we're kind of anticipating that we're going to go against Brookwood again, this time in nationals. And having that rivalry has really helped us. We're always trying to outsmart each other, get the better strategy, X, Y, and Z. And I think our coach really helps us do that.
Yep, and that was a big 3-2 victory. What's next for you guys just the rest of the school year?
Just focusing on nationals. We're going to keep practicing every week. Nationals, I believe, is going to start end of May and go into beginning of June. So yeah, a couple of weeks where we're going to be facing off against 2 teams, I believe, per week in a bracket, single elimination. And yeah, we're just going to keep doing our best, keep playing together, and try to go for that 2 times national champion title.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, you guys. Congratulations. Great job. We'll hope to see you guys do well at Nationals once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the other side with West Forsyth.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all, the advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now we have Carl Lyles, head coach of West Forsyth's esports team. They go by the RL Green, and they've just won the first ever state title. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
So I wanted to just ask in general about West Forsyth and kind of starting the esports. How has the program been going up to this year, and how did you guys break through this season?
Well, started off probably about 4 years ago. We had a great group of guys coming in, especially with Gabe to my left. Gabe started off with me as a freshman. The other 2 came in as juniors. Gabe is the main one that really set the standard. as far as practice is concerned, especially practicing outside of school. And he really dedicated himself. And with him being a leader, with also with Kai and Brady coming along, they gelled together. And when you have somebody that, you know, a leader like that and the whole team gels together, you know, there are times where you get some up and downs, but this particular group, like I said, they gelled together. They practiced every day. They gave it, they were determined. And that's one thing that I love about these guys. They were very well determined and they pushed through it, even though we finally got the hump off our back to actually win a state championship. They were focused being seniors this year. And I can say we have senior leadership. So I'm very happy with the progress and their determination. So as far as the goal that they had set, I mean, they can do whatever they want to do as long as they put their mind to it.
Yeah, and you were talking about, it's Gabe, correct?
Correct.
You're talking about just how he's kind of put that leadership role on his shoulders, helping just the team gel together. But as a coach, I mean, what's your duties been like this season, just watching them through this process and also encouraging them and helping them?
Just getting them on the right path and, like I said, getting the right players, getting the pieces of the puzzle together. And we did have a couple other players. And then Brady came on at the beginning of the season. I found out that Gabe and Brady were playing, and Brady is actually playing baseball. So at first we thought it was going to be a conflict, and then come to find out he could work his way around it, or he could work his way around baseball, his baseball schedule. So once Brady came aboard, it was just practicing and with repetition and making sure that everything fell into play as scheduled.
And Gabe, I want to ask you, just winning the state title this year, obviously having it as a goal, I mean, how much does it mean to you just to see the success this year, being able to handle the pressure of the playoffs and seeing your guys come together?
It was everything. I mean, it was a lot of work to get here over the 4 years. I mean, the standard this year was winning. Our lowest placement together was top 4 in playoffs. So we've worked a lot to get this. I mean, practicing every single night, at least probably 5 practice games a week at the minimum, plus actual region game. So just the actual fact that we knew we had to win this year or else we couldn't compete next. So.
And then we've heard from Gabe. Just introduce the other 2 teammates we have over there behind you.
Yep. So this is Kai, and that's Brady.
Sorry, one more time the names.
That's Kai and Brady.
Kai and Brady. All right, gotcha. And then, do you guys have specific roles heading into each match? Do they ever change? How do you guys formulate the strategy just with a different group of opponents each round?
Sure. Going into each game, it's more of a just mindset thing of we are the better team. We put in the most effort than other teams, and I feel like over the course of a season, week in, week out, it builds up confidence going into each game, and it really just proves at the end that if you can outwork another team, you are more than likely going to win.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty incredible, probably the time and effort and level of competition you guys go up against. What is just being a participant in esports kind of meant for you, just helping you throughout your high school days, just giving you something really exciting? I mean, playing video games is fun, but when there's this much at stake, it's got to be pretty exciting.
It means it gives us something to do, yeah, but it's something to work for. Like, these guys have been competing for this past 4 years. I just joined this year, so I know how much it means to them. So for me to be able to be on this team and working with them throughout the rest of this year and win it for them and win it with them, I mean, it's just, there's nothing like it.
And then you guys, I believe, got the #1 seed. Is that right, Coach? Just talk about how this season worked, maybe some of the matchups you scheduled, and what's your overall thought of the competition in this 4A, 6A classification?
The classification is tough, especially whenever you go against Forsyth Central, you go against Brookwood, Milton. I mean, those are pretty good, tough teams. Every year, and it seems like there's a team in Forsyth County that's going to come out of it, or at least make it to the Final Four. I mean, we just, as far as the talent's concerned, it's there. As far as competing, a lot of these guys know the Central players, so they also play games. Again, not during practice, but on their own time. And you know, the camaraderie and the gelling, like I said, is more so is there.
And then just talk about what it means now moving forward as a program, just winning the state title with this special group, and just maybe the interest that it's going to generate and how you guys keep moving along as a state championship contender.
Well, right now it's going to be a rebuilding year because I'm losing 3 fantastic seniors. Coming in, only have, as of right now, only have 1, and he's a freshman. But it's going to be, it should help. But again, I'm going to have to check with the other different middle schools that also have esports teams and try to get a list of different 8th graders that are coming here for next year.
And then just real quick, Coach, talk about Rocket League, just maybe the challenges of being able to be exceptional at it and what you're looking for in this particular sport.
What I'm looking for is somebody that has the mindset and the determination that these guys have. And their work ethic. I'm more so of a work ethic type person. As far as the game itself, these guys are the professionals, not me. I can only schedule times and give them certain skills, but they're professionals because they put in the most work. And like I said, myself is just more so get them structured and get them focused. That's really the main thing of Rocket League. But it takes a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of focus and determination. And like I said, that's the type of person I'm looking for next year. Hopefully, like I said, it will be easy because we have won a state title, and we do have one under our belt. But it's just trying to get that caliber person who is willing to work not only during school hours, but to work, with their own time. Whenever they have a chance to actually practice and compete in some of these tournaments.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Lyles, thank you so much for joining us. To your team, congratulations, and have a great rest of the semester.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So there goes the state champs. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with our final segment, the BSN Weekend Recap. Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm joined now by Hayden Gilbert. We're going to have our BSN weekend recap, and we're going to cover the gymnastics. The two teams that won this year, you had North Oconee and North Forsyth. And Hayden, I think what's interesting, you have just the dominance of North Oconee. They've won every single year since 2019, except the COVID year when they canceled the end of the spring sports season. But then you have North Forsyth this year, finally breaking through, winning the state title in the highest classification. They knew they went into the championships with the highest scores in the regular season, but I mean, how big is this to just have a new team being able to get on top?
It has to feel really good if you're North Forsyth. Forsyth County is kind of in that North Gwinnett, Forsyth area is kind of the central of the big school gymnastic programs. I mean, Beaufort and West Forsyth have won basically, I think, every championship for dang near a decade. And North Forsyth's always been right there. They've always been one of those teams that's competing for state titles, but they've never been able to get over the hump and finally win one. And they finally have. And it just has to feel really good because this was their year. They competed really well throughout the entire season, and they just were able to get it done at the championships.
Yeah, and what's cool about gymnastics is like you could look back at every single year. What was the winning score? You see right there, 111.650. I feel like North Forsyth hit that mark a few times this season, but just consistently were outstanding the entire year. They knew they were young also, so if this year they were able to get through, we talked to the coach on the show. She feels really good about where the program is moving forward. But let's just talk about North Oconee and their dominance. We haven't seen anything like this since, I guess, the early years of the sports with Lakeside DeKalb winning for an entire decade. But, I mean, how impressive is it for North Oconee, the run they've had in gymnastics, but also just this entire school year, what the Titans have done?
Well, I mean, as a school in general, they've just been dominating most sports. But when you look at what they were able to do in gymnastics, you look at they dominated this championship. Won by more than 5 points on their score compared to North Oconee, which won by just 1. Like, they have been the dominant program in the smaller class since they created a smaller classification in gymnastics the entire time. I don't think any other team has won one since they created, I believe, 2019. And most of these years it hasn't even been close, and it's just, to be honest, it makes it hard to watch because throughout the season you're like, well, it's probably going to be North Oconee that wins it all. But you just have to respect what they're able to do year in and year out.
Absolutely. And, I mean, that's a great point. So up until 2018, there was only one classification. It's split, and as you said, North Oconee has never lost. But if you look at the score, that score this year would have beaten any team regardless of classification. And then they also had the best overall gymnast this year in the all-around. That was Emma Howells. She led the Titans in the all-around with 39.225 points. Obviously, 40 points would have been perfect. She placed first individually also in the bars, floor, and vault. So not only did she win the team state title, she won the all-around. She also took a first in the bars, the floor, and the vault. I'm pretty sure that's 5 state titles. Basically, she racked up just this 1 week.
I mean, the only thing she didn't win was on the beam. And
yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like pommel horse and mids. A lot of people that do the beam are specialists that mainly do that one event. So to win 3 or 4 events, an individual all-around title, and lead your team to a state title, it's just so impressive.
Yep, and we'll keep that graphic up real quick. So Alyssa Strain of Allatoona got that high score in the beam. You see second place, though, Emma right behind her. Nearly had a perfect sweep, which I don't think we've seen as long as I've been covering gymnastics. But let's talk about some of the runner-up teams. Maybe some teams that, because they've been going up against North Oconee, that's the new standard, but they might be on the cusp of breaking through. And obviously, if the sport continues to grow, maybe we'll see it split up. But that's Bremen. You see second place right there. A great overall showing, 107.125 points. You see Westminster, third place, and then Union Grove at 4th. But let's go back to the highest classification with how close that one was. You see Beaufort, 110 points, Carrollton, 108.85, and then Forsyth Central. I mean, how exciting is it now that North Forsyth has won, just to see how really competitive and deep this classification will be moving forward.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. When you look at the distance between first and second place in the A through 4A classification, I believe is what it is. What's the distance between first and fourth place in this classification? It's just every year it's going to be different. I'm not sure we're going to see the dominance of Buford or West Forsyth that we've seen in years past. I think teams like Carrollton and Forsyth Central, and even like maybe your South Forsyth or Lamberts, can make a run at a state title in the coming years.
Yep, and all these teams have a lot of youth and be returning a lot. Let's talk real quick about the all-around in this 5A, 6A classification. That was Buford's Johanna Sasser. She had 38.825 total points to win that all-around. She had first place finishes in the bars and the vault with a 9.9 right there. And then you see the other first place winners in the beam for Forsyth Central's Katie Andrews, 9.7, and then Kendall New from Carrollton took first place in the floor. But you can go to scoreatl.com. We got the full gymnastics coverage right there, the conclusion of another fantastic spring sports season, and we'll have a lot more coverage at scoreatl.com. I think we're out of time, and we'll be back tomorrow with more coverage live here from the studios at noon.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.